Hi, I'm every YouTuber ever, and I'm going to show you how to paint a space wolf. First you do this, and then this, and we're done. This was really easy, and you should feel bad if it doesn't look as good as mine. I'm pretty sure you missed a few things. Wait, I have to sell you something first. Get the fuck out of here. There are a lot of miniature painting content creators making a lot of miniature painting content. And regardless of if they're packaged and presented as instructional or entertainment, there's always seems to be a part of the process missing. It could be additional information that is assumed that is already inherently known, which, to be fair, with the bulk of content that's available, most of the basic foundational ideas are pretty well covered. And with the varying level of skills to those of us out in the wild, not every video can cater for every painter. If it did, every single video would be like 3 hours long, and honestly, fuck that. I would hate making it, you would hate watching it. But the biggest thing I feel is missing from most tutorials is something that you can't really do without a dedicated video. And that's what goes through a painter's head while painting. For me, we are talking about inside my head. You're not safe here. But what I actually meant was the thought process and decision making that happens. This is that video. There's two things that happens as you progress as a miniature painter. One, everything seems to take longer because you're putting a lot more effort into it. And two, you start to notice the minute differences that make a huge impact. And these are just very subtle nuances. And even though this is a video about nuance, we're still probably going to cover techniques and bits and pieces like that. Strap in! After seeing the Space Wolf in the intro, it's pretty easy to see where I kind of got this idea from. And I did have a leg up because I'd somewhat practiced it on said Space Wolf. But there were still quite a few variables that I was unsure of because this whole idea was to paint non-metallic metal but focusing on glare. And even though we got a head start on things, this is still essentially an experiment. And when it comes to experimenting on anything that's basically armor or a space marine, which is also just armor, let's be honest, I like to start on the leg. It's a nice, decent size section that, there's not a lot of detail, it gives you a little bit more freedom. As for what I'm doing here, is just wet blending Diabolic Plum and Neptune Glow. And when it comes to things like light placement that, we're kind of directing the Neptune Glow into, it's still basic volumetric highlighting. The big thing that I'm actually concerned with here is getting everything blended while still having the contrast from pure Diabolic Plum to pure Neptune Glow. And because lighter and brighter colors can be a bit of a pain in the ass to work with, especially when you're looking at glazing, is actually why I chose to wet blend it to start with. I could have gone with the half-step mix of every layer and then kind of blurring out, but that would require glazing, especially as you get higher on, and I didn't want everything to turn chalky. Darker colors are a lot easier to blend than lighter colors, we'll just leave it at that. And here is the first step that I wasn't 100% sure on, glazing in Regal Blue between the transition of Neptune Glow and Diabolic Plum. As a color I knew it would work with the rest, I just didn't know about the outcome if we were going to get it. With one section up to a point where I don't completely hate it, the best way to see if something is working is to look at it in context, and in this context, it means we're going to have to paint the rest of the leg. Non-metallic metal is one of those weird things where, by itself in a vacuum, it doesn't really read as metal. We need the rest of the environment around it to really nail down the inference of light. You may also notice that I've already kind of swapped out placement technique. Because that Regal Blue glaze ended up doing so much heavy lifting, I figured out that there was a little bit more that I could get away with. Which means I've jumped back into a technique called sketching. It's basically just drawing out the highlights and then filling it in with layers as you go. Except the layers this time were all wet blended. And thanks to that blue glaze being the transition, it hides a lot of our sins, so we didn't have to go as hard in the paint on these ones. This was an easy corner to cut without too big of a drastic change. With the idea of this video being what goes through a painter's head while creating, I've actually cut this footage up into sections where I took a break from the painting desk. Which means we're going to get a couple of shots like this where I've come back to it with some fresh eyes. So every time you see my floating head pop up for the rest of this video, it's where I set it down, walked away, or just went and got lunch. After a couple hours on the legs, we're starting to get into a little bit of a groove, which, when you find a comfortable spot, that's when you really start cranking things out. And because we've already found out that we could cut the corner as far as, placement and technique, this turned into all sketching, wet blending, and glazing. And this is where we start to hit the zone out. A lot of people will find this point to be a little bit more relaxing and a bit of a meditation. For me personally, this is where the demons come out. None of them are golden. Being left alone with your own thoughts isn't always the greatest thing in the world. This is where we start to think about all those stupid little things that happen. Like, somebody's walked past you on the street, but you've had your headphones on, you think they say hello, you go to say hello back, and it's just like a little creak that comes out. And then you spend the next 14 years thinking about what that person must have thought about you. I've brought that up on the channel before. Still thinking about it. And if we're going to open this up into sharing time, this is probably my biggest motivation as a painter. I say motivation, but it's a little bit more of a kick in the dick. Because this is where I become hypercritical of my work, hate everything I've ever done ever, and I just push to be better so I can impress myself. Because maybe then my daddy will love me. And all of this actually ends up pretty good for you, because this is why I spend so much time with your mum, so you have at least one cool dad that can paint Warhammer with you. But seriously, try and paint with friends in a social setting as much as you can. Bringing that social aspect into a very lonesome hobby, it kind of makes it even more enjoyable. Just in case you were wondering, this is actually where I went to get lunch, so it's probably fitting to start thanking InGames, the Army Painter, and Patreon. Who, without a combination of, I probably wouldn't be able to afford lunch. Although, it probably wouldn't hurt for me to skip one every now and again. But if you want to chip in for another cheeseburger, or a treadmill, you can use the code Heresy5 at InGames and the Army Painter. You get a little discount, we get a little kickback. There's also a link in the description for Patreon that would let me get fries with that. Alright, we're back and that pity party is over. While taking a little bit of a break and thinking about this the entire time, I came back with a little bit of extra piss and vinegar. And if you're not quite acquainted with the term, it just means I am quite excited to continue with this venture. I take a lot of photos when I work, just so when I do take a break or I'm doing something else, I have something to kind of look at, reference, and kind of see what needs to be fixed up, what doesn't quite match, and what could be better. For the most part, I wasn't too concerned specifically with blending and how smooth the transitions were. It was already kind of coming out with an almost brushed metal reflection kind of feel. And there were also a couple little sections that also made it look a little bit like it was using oil paints, and that was kind of cool. In saying that, just because it wasn't an advert concern, blending is still a pretty high priority. And it's actually something that becomes almost the main focus anytime I'm painting. Because typically speaking, by the time that we're actually up to the part where we put paint on the model, the colors are decided, the styles decided, there's a lot of things that are already done that are big parts of it, but it is the actual technique that's going to then control what the outcome is. But I was also just a little bit preoccupied with what's coming. In the last cut where I went to get lunch, it didn't agree with me. This is somehow a slightly less dramatic reenactment. Yep. That was more graphic than you needed, but not as graphic as it was. But we've got no time for love, Dr. Jones, because we've got to figure out what we're going to do with light placement on this big, weird chest plate torso motherfucker. This is where we get to combine both problem solving and experimentation all together at the same time. Usually when I'm experimenting, I'm just slapping colors around to kind of see what happens. And then at the end, we check out the outcome and kind of store it away in that bag of tricks if we need to pull it out later. This time around, I had an outcome roughly in mind, but didn't quite know how to get there. A lot of the battles have already been won because we've already got the colors picked out, we know the general effect that we want from the armor from the rest of everything that we've painted, and even a technique with how to achieve it. The issue was getting the light placement to feel like it was actually a part of this, without going too bright. This panel probably should have been just one big, flat, wide, bright surface, but I didn't like that idea. It'll start to draw attention away from the head. We still want to be pushing focus, so I had to kind of figure out something else to do with it. Luckily, it is still somewhat of a curved shape, so there's a few things that we can get away with. All I really knew here is that I needed some big pops of brightness and I wanted a lot of contrast in here to sell that reflection. So a lot of this became sketching out, roughly where we wanted everything and then kind of pushing everything around until it felt like it was doing what it had to. And honestly, there was a lot of back and forth with this. The placements of things that were laid out initially didn't really end up where they were. A lot of shapes were changed just because it happened at the time, I suppose. And then after adding in that blue layer of the glaze, it did kind of readjust everything, which needed a little bit of playing around as well. Luckily, what actually did all the heavy lifting for this part is something that I would have never put together beforehand, but again, experimenting. was pushing the highlights even further. Because I wanted that idea of pushing focus towards the head, I added a little bit of extra color in there right at the top to add that luminosity. That extra brightness pulling all that focus actually really started to sell everything else, so I just came in with a little extra contrast down the bottom. This is roughly where I called it quits for the night. Coming back the next day, there were a few things going through my mind while checking out the progress. One, we did a lot of the heavy lifting already. At this point, we're probably 7 to 8 hours work in. Yes, that did include the back, it just didn't get taken to quite the same level as the front. And 2, this is both better and worse than I remembered. Let's be honest, shoulder pads on Space Marines are generally the biggest pain in the ass of a shape to try and highlight this way. So when we bring out something like a Saturnine where it has ridiculously oversized shoulder pads, and they're an even weirder shape if you can imagine, that does make it a little harder. Especially when, for this specific part, the whole time I was thinking the train of thought was, I want to highlight this, it does have to be brighter because it should theoretically be, further up, closer to our light source, but I still don't want to pull away the attention from the face. And I was getting a little concerned here because at this point with how bright everything is getting, to pull the focus in towards the head was almost going to have to be pure white. Spoilers, it wasn't, we worked around it, but it was a concern when I was doing this. Also, word to the wise, if you're going to try and replicate this or something like it, the blue does a lot of work. That blue glaze really brings everything home. So if you want to break it down, the Diabolic Plum to Neptune Glow is where you want to focus your blends, your smoothness, and kind of getting that je ne sais quoi. And when I say je ne sais quoi, I actually mean light placement. It just escaped me for a second. All these video voiceovers are one take, baby. But back to the original point, if you are going to do this, the blue does a lot of work. This is what pulls everything in together. I told you already, 1, strap in, 2, inside my head, you're not safe here. I'm actually a little bit surprised enough to impress myself without absolutely going off the complete deep end. And no, I'm not medicated because I was never diagnosed. If you're here watching this video still at this point, you're kind of more to blame than I am. We'll share it. After knocking out the shoulder pads that looked like they were pulled straight out of your mum's 80s power suit, we had to do something about this big fuck-off arm cannon. There's not a lot of footage of this because I didn't really know how to go about it and I was actually trying to focus. There's a lot of very small panels on this. My eyes are not fantastic. But because we are talking flat panels, all I basically did was follow the same process, just less volumetrically and thought of in more of a gradient, or an ombre as the kids are calling it these days. That made me feel really old. I hurt myself. To be quite frank, it didn't turn out brilliant. I probably would have liked it smoother, a little bit more definition, but hey, that is something that we can come back to later and figure out. And treating every little panel as its own kind of surface in a vacuum, everything did turn out a little bit brighter than I would have liked it to have been. By the time we got here, I'd taken a couple of days away from this project. Painting something this bright and trying to replicate glare did bring in some pretty solid eye strain. There were a couple of times where it felt like I was staring into the sun. Each time I came back to this for a couple of hours, it was almost a guaranteed headache. If paint is art, this is a banana duct taped to a wall. In those few days away, I had a few things to really think about. One was contrast. Now, a lot of the times when we do trim, yes, trim is a pain in the ass, but it generally has its own color. But because it was on something like this, which is so bright, it felt like the trim still had to be dark. 1, to read separately, and 2, to kind of emphasize and push the highlight and glare of the rest of it. So I decided to go with a non-metallic metal black, or at least an incredibly dark metal. So the only points that I actually pushed on this were where the glare and the gleam already was on the adjoining panel. To be honest, I did actually kind of like just the flat black, but I couldn't leave it there. There's just something inside that wouldn't let me leave it. Color and application wise, this is the exact same recipe from when we did the black armor in volumetrics. However, I did push the highlights a little bit further to kind of continue on with that extra bright gleam. This video didn't quite encapsulate the creative process and train of thought that I was kind of planning on it being. It ended up a little bit more based on the mentality of a very specific painter. Got 2 thumbs, and it's this dickhead. This sits in a weird limbo. It's not quite good enough for a competition, but it's also too much for the tabletop. It's also not finished because I kinda got sick of looking at it. I'm not quite sure if you would call this video useful or not, but there could at least be some thinking points in there. Massive thank you to InGames, the Army Painter, and the best Patreon members in the world. Big love, you filthy heretics.